The Premier League next season. Yes, I'm a Burnley fan. Okay, I understand. Haha, we got relegated. Okay, let's move on. Let's go.
Yo, do you play FIFA 22?
Yeah.
Is your team bang average? You absolute pathetic piece of... You're saying that to the viewers? No, obviously. Ah, okay. I mean you. Do you face teams like this?
You can't keep getting away with it!
Do you know there's a way to get coins? Why are you shouting at me? Then go to userbuy.com for the cheapest and most reliable place to buy your coins on FIFA 22. Link is down below in the description. And also use code Vizeh at checkout to get a discount.
Welcome back to another video on the channel. Let's go into some early unpopular predictions for next season. I asked you guys over on my Twitter about what you guys think may happen next year. And I'll give my own as well of what I think will happen next year. And some may be a bit unpopular. I don't know. I don't think so. But this is how I think this year will go in my weird unpopular predictions. This doesn't even need to be like where a team will be placed. It could be like, yo, this player could be the player of the season, or this player could flop, or whatever you think that could just happen. So give me your predictions down below in the comments right this second. And also subscribe if you're new. Thank you over 289,000 subscribers. And let's go. So this is a tweet that I put out the other day about your unpopular prediction. It's currently on 4.4k likes. I don't know how I get this many likes. I don't know why people care about my opinion on things, but we'll move on. So, by the way, I must say, as a Burnley fan, I gotta say, because I'm looking at the, who's in there next year, it kind of like, it just looks weird for me to not see our badge in there anymore. Hopefully next year, bit of a holiday away, We're just saying hi to our locals, Blackburn, Blackpool, Preston, Wigan, saying hi to the family, and then hopefully pissing off. Anyway, this is a Burnley video. Let's get into it, right? So there's a lot of quote tweets. I'm probably going to miss out quite a lot because there's a lot of people's opinions. However, I'll go through the most liked post that most people would agree with, and then at the end, I'll give my thoughts as well. So let's begin. One of the most liked posts with 1.1 thousand likes is by George saying Forest would do what Brentford did this season, and Brentford would go down. So it'd be like a role reverse kind of thing, where like Sheffield United, they were like 10th, weren't they? Or 9th? I think it was like 9th. And then they ended up going down next year, which no one thought that they would do that bad and end up being down so disastrously. And people think that may happen to Brentford again. Now, I'll be honest here, man. From what I've seen from Brentford, I can't see them going down. I really can't. I think their midfield is very good. They've got a goal scorer, like a proper goal scorer, which as long as Ivan Toney stays, they've got goals. The way how the midfielders ran, I think they're set up to control a game, a lot of the time, and they may need some better quality wingers in their team. And maybe, no, I think they got a good base to work on. So, and when it comes to Forest, I think Steve Cooper is a good manager to do potentially what Frank has done. However, I just don't think they have the same team, because a lot of the team which they have, like right now, are loans, like Garner, like Spence. Would it even be there for next season? I don't really know. Imagine that they'll probably get a sign on for them lot, or maybe for like the likes of a Garner would maybe go back on loan again. Maybe, I think so. But that's the thing. I think there's a lot more question marks on Forest in terms of what they do business-wise. So, for right now, I don't think they'll be doing a Brentford. Right now, I think a lot of things will have to be confirmed, and a lot of things will have to change for me to really change my opinion, because defensively, they're decent. It's just attacking-wise, I don't really know where the real goals will come from. One of the top 10 from this season will go down. So, by saying that, he's pretty much meaning the likes of a Wolves or like a Brighton. I presume that's what he's meaning by that. Honestly, I do not think saying that Wolves could be in a relegation scrap is really that far off of a shout. I don't think they'll go down in the end, because I think they've got some quality in there. But I wouldn't be surprised if next year they do have a bit of a shake. Or this year we've seen them, quite a few times really look off the pace and really look like they're really lacking that clinical edge up top. And maybe it's a case of they just need the summer window to get some players in, and then maybe they could be back to their best. Would the likes of Ruben Neves potentially be going? Maybe as well. So there's a few question marks in terms of some players going. Beaten like by Brighton at home, like disastrously. I would not be surprised if they have a bit of a poor year next year. But I don't think it'd be bad enough that they'll go down. Neither would Brighton. I don't think. But hey, I've seen, and no one thought that Everton and Leeds would be in the drop zone and potentially going down. So I guess anything can happen, right? Queenie also saying that there'll be a shock in the top 4. I don't think people understand the way the World Cup will F up the season. The World Cup was split in a year in November, December. I think will play a big factor. To be fair, that actually is a good point. And maybe a team which may not have that many internationals and may not be playing European football could take advantage of that. But the likes of maybe a, dare I say it, Newcastle, if they do really well, could maybe in some way take advantage of that because they both have no European football and they may not have as many internationals. The thing is, I just think that the gap between like the top 6 and the rest of the league is just like, it's just ever widening. That like, can a West Ham get in there? Can a Leicester get in there properly? And I think Leicester and West Ham, they're proving that, but they've got to be at the top of their game to do that. Even Leicester having an off year. At one stage, I think they were 14th, for Christ's sake. They're not anymore, obviously, but you know what I mean? I feel like the gap is, you're going to be on it. Have almost a very good, almost perfect year all around to be anywhere near up there. So I do think it takes one team having an absolute storm of a year to really be in that conversation. Fulham gets 17th and Norwich gets promoted and a black hole is opened. 2.4 thousand likes. If there's a way that we can get both Fulham and Norwich in the Prem at the same time, then I think we're going to be breaking some sort of record. I think the last time these two faced was back in, I think 2014 was the last time both Fulham and Norwich were both in the same Premier League season. They seem to always just be taking turns all the time. So I fully back this claim. A black hole could be formed. That's how historic it could potentially be. And really a great achievement as well. Everyone will gas Forest after a good start, or for them to finish 19th. Again, I wouldn't be surprised with this. I mean, I don't want people to think I hate Forest, right? I really don't. It's just that I kind of think that they have got a lot to change in terms of what players may be going, what players could be coming in. I think they're going to change a lot. I think managerial-wise, they got the right manager in charge to do something incredible. It's just, do they have the right personnel for the Premier League, the right experience for the Premier League? And only time can tell, really. But you can absolutely confirm one thing with Forest, is that they're going to get a win against Arsenal at one stage, because they always goddamn do. So I fully back that as well. Speaking of Arsenal fans, here's a full Prem prediction. He's put Arsenal first. My guy's clinically insane. He's put Arsenal in the league. I respect the fact that he backs his team. Still absolutely insane, but I respect the fact he backs his team. Newcastle will finish above Manchester United, which I guess where we're looking at it right now, with Ten Hag joining, I feel like there's a weird part of me that thinks that maybe like it could still get worse, and that they still got to take one step back to take 2 steps forward. Because Ten Hag will have to change a lot of things internally inside of Manchester United, and I think that rebuild can be so impactful and can be so eventful that it could change a lot of things of how the club is currently run right now, and maybe the personnel of people leaving can maybe leave a gap open there for the time being. So I don't think it's the worst shout in the world to imagine a world where like United could be like, I don't know, 8th and Newcastle could be maybe 7th. I don't know. Like I honestly, I would not be surprised. Burnley will refuse to leave the Premier League and will still interfere on Leeds' opening day match by running out and delivering a steel chair shot whilst the ref isn't looking, allowing the opposition to get the win. Nailed on. Yeah, I agree. Twit pal, there, you're spot on, lad. Yo, what bets you got on, lad? Fulham to stay up, Chelsea won't make top 4, Spurs will push for the title before slowly dropping and finishing 4th, with United finishing 3rd. I just don't think Marco Silva is the man for the Premier League. I just don't think he is. I think that you can play your great, nice football, beautiful football in the Championship, but it's like the Norwich effect. Your team is very good for that league. You can control the game in a much more different way. You cannot do that in the Premier League. You just can't. So I feel like you will have to change your style of play, because if you can't play the same way, otherwise you will just get found out a lot and you get caught out a lot, like what happens in more seasons. So I don't think that Marco Silva's a guy for Fulham. I just don't think so, because from his track record, I just don't have the same backing to him that I thought I would. So then it's time to throw myself in the deep end here. So of course this is the next day, because I thought, let's just add in my thoughts to this, right? So this is a very, very, very early prediction for just how I see teams being next year. This isn't like a full-on prediction. This isn't like really well thought out. It's kind of just my gut feeling based on from what I've seen momentum-wise at the club, what players could be going, what players could be coming in, and just my all-round feeling of where teams could be next year. So, of where I think teams could be next year. So, let's get stuck into it, right? So, starting up with who's going to win the league. Sorry, lads, it's probably City. The thing is, right, how I see it is that City, with just a normal good year for what you expect, is where they are. But Liverpool needs to be above and beyond their usual standard to get to where they are. I think Liverpool, top 4. I don't know if they're going to drop off a little bit because they will be having the likes of Mane going. Salah could also be, I think right now, I don't think it's fully confirmed, but there may be a bit of a rotation in terms of their players, but I don't think they'll drop off too much, so I think this will be in top 4 quite comfortably. And then going into it, here's my big out there shout. I think Spurs will easily get top 4 as well. The reason is, form-wise, they were really good at the end of last year, and also Conte, I back Conte. I back Conte that he knows exactly what he wants for his team and he knows how to get it. And with the signing of Perisic, that gives me the example that he's going to be backed and he's going to get the players that he wants to suit his system. And the man's a serial winner. I back Conte to be around the time of January, February, to be still in a bit of a title fight. I actually fully believe this. If they get the players that he wants and he gets the backing that he deserves, then there's no reason to say that they can't at least be comfortably top 4 and be within the conversation around at least February, January time. In my opinion, anyway. Let's go down to the bottom of it now, and I'm going to put in my team, which I think will go down. I'm sorry, lads, but I think it's Southampton. I think that with Southampton, they really, really were poor for the end of last year. In almost every single form table you can look at, in the last 20 games, they were 18th in the table. They were worse form than Burnley, Leeds, Everton. They were worse than all for the entire second half of the season, and I do think there's more questions there. They do concede a lot of goals, but they do score a few more goals than the likes of, what Leeds did or Burnley did, which kind of did save them a bit. But there's a lot of question marks over there, and especially with how they ended the year, then it's a bit concerning with Southampton. In terms of who I think will go down as well, I think Bournemouth will. I like Bournemouth as a club. I like the away days. I just don't massively rate Scott Parker. I'm sorry, I just don't. And another manager that I also don't rate is also Marco Silva. I think that he could be sacked as well. He's had times at Hull, times at Everton as well, and he wasn't exactly the best at either of those clubs. So I just really think that Marco Silva, again, you could play your fancy, brilliant, attacking football in the Championship, but you can't do that in Premier League. You literally can't. You cannot do that in the Premier League. So I think Marco Silva, will have to change a lot, really, which I think would be very hard to adapt to Premier League, like what we've learned previously. And then, who else is in the conversation, right? I think the likes of a Wolves could be in a shout of a bit of a scrap next year. I don't think they'll go down, but I think there'll be a stage around like March where they may be a bit, a bit of a twitch. But I don't think they'll go down because I still think they have some quality. However, if Ruben Neves does go, and I think I'm hearing that they won't be, bringing in as much in the market as what they usually do. Some of the attacking players hasn't worked out that well, like the likes of Hwang Chan, Trincao. They've not clicked in the same way. Wolves, I think, could be around 15th. And then, who else is there? Newcastle. I'll say, straight away, Newcastle, 5th to 9th. You may say I'm going too overboard here, but in the second half of the season, Newcastle was, other than Liverpool and City, the most informed side in the entirety of Premier League. They have a fantastic defence record, and the thing is, they only really brought in, that's a Dan Burn target, who are signings that they could be bringing in anyway, but even before the oil money, and then it's really only Bruno Guimaraes, who I think also missed quite a few games as well. So the players that they've got there, and the tactic that they've got there with Eddie Howe, fair play to him, he's been doing amazing. I think Newcastle, there's no reason to say, from what I've seen in the last 5 months, that they can't keep this form going. Honestly, I don't think they'll be going into top 4, but I think that they could be potentially in a shout of 7th, 6th. Why not? I can't see why they can't. And here's my big shout. I think Manchester United could potentially be behind Newcastle. That's my honest thought. Because I think with Ten Hag, it could take one step backwards again, because of how large of a gutting of the team structurally as well, I think would need to be done over there, that I think it could cause quite a big effect with the likes of Manchester United. I think that they could still have a bit of a shaky start of the year, and that they will be playing catch-up almost. I actually believe this. I think they got a great team. We all know they got a great team, but no one thought they'll be where they were. Keep in mind, boys, they lost their last 5 away games in the league. Let's just take away form, for example. They are 12th in the league for the last 15 games away from home, and the last 10 games away from home, they're 17th. They are absolutely abysmal, and that's a massive thing to change. I think they can change, and I think they'll be a bit better, but there's a lot of question marks there at Man United. I think it will be a massive transitional year Massive for them. I would be stunned if they were in top 4. Do I think it's possible? It is, because they have some great players there, of course, and I do like Ten Hag, but I think that it will take time. One massive shout for me, which I'm going to say, is that I think Crystal Palace will be in the 5th to 9th spot. I really like the job that Patrick Vieira is doing. I really do. I think Palace, with the players that they have, a lot of good quality young players building up with the team, I think they could be something pretty decent next year to be looking at. I like the way they play football. I think they do really well. And with 2 or 3 little signings, who's to say that they can't also be high up there? They've conceded 19 goals, which is, may I remind you, the 3rd best defence in the league for the second half of the season. The 3rd best defence in the league. That is incredible. Better than Chelsea, better than Arsenal, better than Spurs. So, that is huge. Middle of the pack, I think Brentford could be also mid-pack, maybe 13th, 12th. I think they'll be fine. People think they may have a second season syndrome. I like the way how they do things. I think they got a good midfield in there, and they got a goal scorer in Ivan Toney, which I think that is what you need when you're there, maybe at the bottom or whatever else. I think they've got a goal scorer. Again, let's go with Everton. I think they'll be okay this year. I'm not really sold on Frank Lampard too much, but I do think that they would learn a bit from the mistakes, but I don't think they'll really get into that top 10 shout. I think there's still a long way to go if the likes of Charlton does go. And I guess for Leeds, which of course were in a battle with us as well, again, I'm not completely sold on Jesse Marsch. I really am not. I think they'll stay up, but I think they would be also in a bit of a battle as well. From what I saw from Jesse Marsch, that kind of more narrow system, that means that a lot of players would have to be moved on because some Bielsa players wouldn't really suit that system. So I think it could be another transitional year for the likes of Leeds, and I think that they will survive. I think they will, but I would expect them to be in a bit of a scrap. So this is tough here. I want to put Brighton and then kind of 10th to 14th pot again. I think they got a decent team. I think being 9th were a bit of a false storm because they were really bad at one stage. They were really bad, and they brought it back and they became to the old selves. So I do like what they're doing. I don't think they'd be in really any danger of a going down, of course, by any means. But I think mid-table is fine. They're a good little side. I like them a lot, and I think that they'll be okay. West Ham 5th to 9th, Leicester 10th to 14th. And that means as well that I would have put, I believe, the likes of Aston Villa as well in there. I really do like Crystal Palace. I really do. Aston Villa, they got in some good players. Do I think Steven Gerrard is right there ready yet? I think he still has a bit more to learn, but a lot of people, like myself, are hyping him a lot next year to be potentially in the European spots. And yeah, you know what? If West Ham can do it and Leicester can, then so can they. However, that's kind of how I see them. In terms of who I think will be in top 4, I'll say it's Chelsea, then also in 5th, and that's kind of where I see it. And then Forest, I think, would be scrapping, and the issue with Forest is that I prefer Steve Cooper as a manager. I think he's a great manager. I just don't know if he has the right personnel for the team because I back him much more than Parker or Marco Silva. However, the team, when I look at who they have, the Zinker, Nagel guy, Spence, Garner, a lot of players that they have are actually on loan. So will they come back? You would imagine so. But will they have a complete the same team? I don't know. But I do back Cooper more than I back Silva or Parker to get the job done. And that's kind of how I see it. Maybe I'm ranking Newcastle too highly here, but you can't argue the fact that they were the 3rd most informed side in the second half of the year. And Eddie Howe, I think, done really well. And if they do bring in, which they will bring in some quality in the team, if it's a Lucas Paqueta or whoever they're going to be linked with, I don't see why not. That's how I see it right now. It's kind of off the top of my head. And yeah, there you go. Give me your thoughts down below in the comments. I'll see you guys next time for another video, and stay safe.